What's happening, brothers? This is Coach G, your master mindset creator. I lead a movement of men who are committed to taking the necessary actions required for a radical change and growth in their lifestyles by breaking destructive, compulsive addictions, creating passionate, healthy habits, and empowering them with the mindset to sustain permanent change and growth. And what I want to talk to you guys today is how do we overcome this giant that we all deal with in our lives. I know a lot of you guys are probably familiar with the story of David and Goliath, right? I mean, you don't have to be a church fanatic to understand David and Goliath. It's like the old tale that we hear about the little guy overcoming what? The big guy. Right? We all have heard the story before. And that big guy can represent a lot to us. But what's important out of that story is not so much that David won and we hear the little guy and the underdog beating up the big guy. What's important is how David won, and more importantly, how that applies directly to you. So let's take a look at that right now, okay? Real quick, guys, let's talk about David. Now, who exactly was David? Right? David was this small guy. But even more to the point, compared to everybody else, he was ordinary. I mean, heck, depending on how you look at it, he's probably less than ordinary, right? I mean, this is the same guy who wasn't held to the same regard as his brothers. He was forced, not really forced, but he was relegated to go and be a shepherd and tend to the sheep. I mean, think about it. He's taking care of like the weakest animals that are out there. And in that time, it was like soldiers who was considered to be the leaders out there. Soldiers, warriors, fighters. So then we got David right here, right? And then we get Goliath. And Goliath is this like huge guy. He's huge, right? I mean, this guy, he's like about maybe a good, maybe 7.5 feet tall, right? Also, this guy is armored up. Like, I mean, he is so armored that he has to have someone to carry this gigantic shield. He has like the world's biggest sword in front of him. So if you're David and you have none of these attributes, you're not strong, you're not big, you're not tall, you're not well armored, you know, how do you overcome such a huge giant? Let's take a look at a couple important parts that came from David. First thing about David, and this is the first thing for a lot of you guys. He didn't run. Listen, you got to understand, everybody ran from this challenge of Goliath. Nobody knew how to handle Goliath. Everybody was afraid of Goliath. David hears about Goliath. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go deal with Goliath. But then, even though he didn't run away from Goliath, the next thing is that not run. He didn't rush. Like, he didn't just rush head first and trying to say, I'm going to go out here and tackle this guy and I'm going to knock him out. He wasn't full of ego when he went about this process. He actually used some intelligence when he went about this, and he gathered certain tools to use in a very specific way to take down the giant. And guys, that's the piece that I want to leave you all with, is that he had the tools and he knew how to use them. You see, here's the thing about David, guys. That David ran in and David said, you know what? I'm going to run in here and I'm going to drop kick this dude in his knees. You wouldn't hear the story of David right now. If David would have ran in there and said, you know what? Give me your sword. I'm going to go ahead in here. I'm going to fight him hand to hand. You wouldn't hear the story of David right now. What David did was found the one way to attack that would cause the most damage to the problem. And that's what I want you guys to understand about the mindful habit and about just working with anybody here in the program right now. You guys, you're fighting a Goliath. And you've probably been fighting a Goliath numerous times. I mean, heck, David never fought a Goliath before Goliath, but he had some experience at least. He dealt with lions and bears protecting the sheep. And some of us, ordinary, small guys, right? We haven't had those battles before we had a chance to fight our Goliath. So we don't understand what that pressure's like. And when it happens and when it hits us, we don't know how to react, and we go attacking this thing the wrong way. And what I'm telling you guys right now is that your Goliath will not overcome you. Your Goliath will not beat you. But in order for you to beat your Goliath, you got to have the right tools. And you got to know how exactly to use them. Get in contact with us. Give me a call. 443-600-9169. Schedule some time with me. Shoot me an email. Do whatever you got to do. But don't move any further in life thinking that the Goliaths in your life are going to take you out. We got the tools. And we got the work. And we know how to use the tools best for you. This is Coach G, guys. I love you guys. Keep kicking ass. Talk to you later. Peace.